So why is it if you track two people from the age of 20 and they both start off in the same exact circumstance, the same exact situation? They both were born to poor or middle-class families. They both didn't have any connections, and they both go out and get a job. Why is it that one person in 20 years can be a multi-millionaire, have everything that they want, live the ideal life, and the other person has a job making 50 grand a year, they're completely in debt, they hate their job, they're living a life of quiet desperation. A lot of times that second person has turned to drinking or they've gained weight because they're using alcohol, food, and sugar and or entertainment as a way to try to escape the pain that they feel in their everyday life, but they don't take any action to be proactive to get themselves in a better situation. How is that possible? Well, we have to take those two people and we have to look at what they're doing, the way they're thinking, and most importantly, the actions that they're taking. And there are a few different things that these people have that if you talk to these people will dramatically make them, is dramatically different from both of them in terms of the way they think, because the thinking, as you know, if you have better thoughts, you can take better actions and you can get a better end result. Well, one of these things is the way these people spend money. The first person that became rich spends their money dramatically different than the poor person. Rich people spend money on assets. Now, what's an asset? An asset is simply something that's going to put money in your pocket, that's going to make you money, that's going to appreciate in value. What's appreciate in value mean? It means it's going to go up in value over time. Poor people spend money on liabilities. They spend money on things that are going to depreciate in value. All that means is poor people spend money on things that aren't going to make them more money and are going to go down in value. What's something that depreciates in value? What's something that goes down in value? TVs. If you buy a TV for $1,000, then a year from the day you bought the TV, if you turn around and sell it, you're not going to be able to get $1,000. Maybe you get, I don't know what TVs go for, but maybe you get $500. That's a lie. That's something that depreciates in value. That doesn't go up in value. What's a rich person spend money on? A rich person invests in themselves and they spend money on things that are going to make them more money. So there was a time when Sam Walton, the guy that started Walmart, first of all, when he started Walmart, by the way, he put all of his money, and I believe it was 95% of the first Walmart was funded by his income. It was either 90 or 95%. And Sam Walton ran stores just like Walmart for over 20 years, so he knew exactly how to run it. So he started running it, it started becoming profitable, and it got to a point a few years down the road to where Walmart had the ability to spend millions of dollars on a system which was going to track Walmart's inventory. It was going to automate the process. It was going to be a good thing for the business. And there were people that were telling Sam Walton, they were saying, hey, look, man, this is millions and millions of dollars. Now, I know you got a couple business, you got a few Walmarts now, and that's great and all, but, I don't think you should spend the money to buy this system. You know what Sam Walton said? I can't afford not to spend the money on it. And he spent the money. But what did he do right there, guys? He spent the money to invest in his business. He spent money on an asset that was going to help his Walmart business run smoother, run better, and ultimately he grew it to the point where Sam Walton died a multi-billionaire. All right? Because he thought like a rich person think. He spent money on things that were going to make him more money. What do poor people spend money on? Poor people, they spend money on vacations, TVs, the newest car, right? They got to get the newest, bestest car. And a lot of times, poor people they live above their means, they get in debt. And how do you know if you're living above your means? Well, if you have more debt than money you have saved or the value of your assets, then you are spending money the way poor people spend money, right? If you don't have any assets, right? If you don't have a business and you got $1,000 in the savings account and you have a house that's $100,000 and you have $10,000 on credit card debt, well, you're living like a poor person. You're spending money like a poor person, and you are not going to become rich unless you change that. Now, the good news is at any moment you can change it. At any moment you can make a decision to say, you know what? From here on out, I'm going to stop spending money on liabilities. I'm going to stop spending money on things that depreciate in value. I'm going to practice something very rare that very few people practice called delayed gratification. That's what I did, right? So when I got my first business up and running to the point where I was making $100,000 a year. And then you know what I did? I could have went out and I could have bought, a big house. I could have bought lived in a nice place. I could have bought a brand new car. Well, I was at a point where I had two businesses running. They were both making over $100,000 a year. And I bought a Toyota Prius with 100,000 miles on it. Why? Because I was working on taking all the extra money I had and reinvesting it back into the businesses to grow them even more. See, that's what rich people do. You do that and you allow that to compound over time to where you start a business, you start making money, put that money back into the business. Put that money back into getting better information. Whether that's investing in knowledge and products that have the information you need to get ahead, whether that's investing in tools for your business, whether that's going to masterminds, whatever it is, you do that and you allow that to compound. And then you get to the point to where you hear stories where someone, they started off dead broke with nothing, and now they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There's lots of stories like that because they take their money and they reinvest it back into assets, and they do it over and over again. And then guys, guess what? When you're at the point to where you're making $5 million a year, you can go buy a Lamborghini and you're not going to feel it because you're making this much money and that Lamborghini is this much money compared to the amount of money you're making. You can go out there and you can buy the home that's you can buy the 10,000 square foot home. You can go out there and you can buy a yacht. You can go out there and you can buy an airplane. Because here's the money that the rich person has. Here's the money that the poor person has. The rich person doesn't go on the vacations. They don't get the newest home. They don't get the nicest car. But they spend that money either on a business, either investing in themselves because, to get a business going, what do you need, right? A business is how you're going to get rich. To get a business going, you need time and you need money. You're going to need money. Now, you could get investors, and that's a way to do it, but there's a whole formula for that, but I'll probably make a video on it for you guys later sometimes. But you take your money, you reinvest it, and then your money increases. But if the money increases right now, and now you go spend half of your money on a brand new car, you're back to square one. Once you allow your money to expand by starting a business and then reinvest your money back into the business like Sam Walton did, and then once you're making this much money, you can take a small piece of it, you can go buy the car you want, the home you want, you can start chartering planes and go on vacations, but it won't matter because the amount of money that costs in proportion to the amount of money you're making is insignificant because you've practiced delayed gratification for so long. You now have such a vibrant, profitable business to where you can really just go buy whatever it is you want to buy and you can live the lifestyle you want to live for the rest of your life, and you never have to worry about money because you've practiced delayed gratification and kept investing your money back into your business. And if you don't do that, you'll be like people that are out there. There's people out there that look successful. I've met doctors that, they make $25,000 a month, but $24,000 of their money goes to pay all their debts. Because they should have been investing in their business, they should have been investing in advertising, and they should have been investing in growing their practice, but they didn't. They went out and they bought the car that's going to go down in value. They went out and they bought the biggest home they could buy. Your home's not an asset if it's not making you money, and the only way it's making you money is if you rent it out. Most people, they don't rent out their home. If you look at the value of homes over the last 100 years, the value of homes have not gone up in value. The price has gone up in value, but the value hasn't. If you look at a home today, if you were to sell a home, you can look at any home that there is. Go look at a home, and if you sell that home today, it will buy a certain amount of gold. It'll buy a certain amount of silver. It'll buy a certain amount of a bushel of wheat. It'll buy a certain amount of, there's other things you can compare it to. If you go back 10 years and you look at the price of that home 10 years ago and you sell it, it will buy the same amount of gold coins. It will buy the same quantity of a bushel of wheat, right? Or pounds of salt, or whatever you want to compare it to. You compare it to something like that. Go back 50 years. Now, yeah, if you go back 50 years, the price of that home is going to be less, but if you sell that home, it will, and you take that currency, you take that money and you buy something with it, it will buy the same quantity of it, right? A bushel of wheat, an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold, whatever you want to compare it to. The price of homes go up in price, but the money you could get for the home and turn around and sell it for other stuff stays the same because of inflation, because the Federal Reserve fucks up the currency supply and just prints a lot of money and fucks up shit. So because of that, a home is not an asset unless it's making you money. And the only way a home is making you money is if you're renting it out to people and you're getting money for it, right? If you're living in it, it's not making you any money, right? It can't be making you money. Now, if you rent out a room or you get if you get a house, I got a buddy of mine and he's got a house and he rents out a couple rooms. Well, all right, there you go. But most people, they don't want to do that, right? They justify that their home is an asset. They justify that their home is an investment. They lie to themselves and say that their home is an investment so they can justify spending a lot of money and going into debt to get a big home. Your home's not an asset if it's not making you money. The only way it's making you money is if you're renting it out. So, with that said, keep this principle in mind, and as you go through life, as you start a business, as you start to be successful and you start to make a lot of money, take your money and reinvest it back into the business. Don't go get that car right away. Don't go get the home, right? Wait a few months. Maybe you even have to wait a few years. But I promise you, your life will be significantly better because of it. And now that you've built this successful business, it will keep making you money forever, and you can live the lifestyle you want to live while having lots of money in the bank, while having peace of mind knowing that if something happens, you're covered because you have this big business that's consistently spinning out large lump sums of cash and filling up your bank account.